welcome back to another coding projects tutorial. Today we will be making a media player with multiple media files in UiFlow 2. The first thing we need to do is we need to set up our UI. So we are going to go into the UI editor and drag a list onto the screen. We then want to change the X and Y values to 10. This gives a nice little buffer around the edge of the list block. Then we want to set the width to 300. Now because the screen width is 320 pixels, this creates the same 10 pixel border around the edge of the whole list block, and the same with the depth of the list block being 220 because the screen is 240 pixels, which leaves that same 10 pixel border. We then want to remove this stock button and rename the list songs. We can now exit the UI editor. That is all we need to do. The next thing we need to do is we need to write the code. So we're going to first of all go and initiate the SD card because we don't want to be storing our WAV files on the flash because we'll very quickly run out of storage space. We then need to add all of our songs to our songs list. So we're going to go back up to the M5 UI section and go into the list section. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a label using the larger block. I'm going to call it section 1, and I'm going to change this to NCS. This is where I got all my music from, ncs.io. So what this block will do is it will just add the text NCS in a row just underneath the songs. So just here it will say NCS. I'm also going to change it to orange to give it a nice sort of themed colour. Then we need to add some buttons so that we can play our music. So I'm going to drag one of the large button blocks out and I'm going to click on the icon. Now because it's music, this doesn't really matter, but I am going to change the icon to music, the music notes icon, because it just, in my opinion, it makes it look cool. I'm going to change this to button 1, BTN1 for short, and I'm going to change this to the name of my music. So I am going to go to ncs.io to get some music. This is all copyright free music for creators. I will put all of the links to this down below in the video description. Okay, so I now have 2 songs. This will do for the demonstration that I'm trying to show. If we just go back and have a look, one of them was called Healing and one of them was called Castle. So the first one I'm going to put in is Healing. I'm going to just put in the name. Obviously, if you're doing this, you could put in the creators as well. The link will be down below for that song. And I'm going to leave it as black because this will make it not stand out so much, whereas the NCS title above will show more as a sort of section header, which will make it look much better. We're then going to duplicate this block, drag it down and place it underneath, and replace the text with your other song name. You can repeat this as many times as you need to, but just make sure to always be increasing the number on the end by 1 each time and changing your song name. These buttons will be quite small on the screen. They'll only be 30 pixels high as defined by that number. If you would like to have a larger button to press, you can make that number larger, but for now I'm just going to leave it as 30 because that is fine for me. So that just sets up all of our songs into this list. The next bit we need to do is we need to make the core to actually play the songs. So we need to create the code first, which we will do by going into the button and down to events, and we'll make sure this is list 0, button 1 of 2, and clicked. Just going to drag it a bit further over here. And then we're going to go down to the speaker blocks. And we want to drag out a speaker begin, because that initiates the speaker. We then want to set the volume of the speaker, because once the song is playing, the Core 2 cannot do anything other than what is defined by its buttons. So we need to set the volume before we start playing. For this, we'll just leave it as 50, that's fine. We then need to have the file name, make sure this is SD card, otherwise it won't be able to find your files. And then we need to end or deinitiate the speaker. We can then duplicate this for both list elements and change this to button 2. And then we need to go and upload all of our files to our SD card. So we're going to start doing this by going into our downloads folder. And getting our Core 2, taking the SD card out of the SD card slot and plugging it into the side of our computer. Now, as you can see, I already have my 2 files on here from an experiment I was doing earlier with the same idea, along with some other ones, but in principle, you would just go into your downloads, select your 2 files, and then drag and drop them, or copy and paste them, into your SD card folder. So they will all appear here. You're then going to eject your SD card, and you can go back to your UiFlow tab. And that now has all, your SD card now has all of the files that you need on the SD card, so you can then plug it back into your Core 2 and you'll be good to go. The last part of this before we go and test out our speaker setup is we need to enter all of the file names into these. So if we go back over here, we can see that button 1, as defined here, has the track healing attached to it. So what we need to do is we need to go into downloads and we need to select the healing track, and I'm going to rename and then copy that file name back into the SD card block here and add .wav to the end of it. This just means that it defines it as a WAV file which the speaker can play, because the speaker will only play .wav files. That is something to note. If you haven't done so already and you're downloading from NCS, they will all download as MP3 files with compression, and you need to convert them to .wav files. The next one we need to do is exactly the same thing with the next file. So I'm just going to go and copy that name into here and add the .wav to the end of it. So that is now all set up and ready to go. We just need to plug our SD card back into our Core 2 and run this script. So we're now going to click run on in UiFlow 2 and we're going to connect to our device, and then we're going to run the code. So now we have run it. What you should be able to see is on the screen we have 2 options, healing and castle. Above that we also have a tiny little orange title that says NCS. It's quite hard to see because of the contrast. That's better. So now if we go ahead and click one of these 2 options, say healing, as you can hear, it plays the WAV file that we uploaded to our SD card. Now, as I said last time I recorded a video about the speaker in the Core 2, it is actually surprisingly loud, given this is 50% volume, and it's only a 1-watt speaker. So yeah, that's it. That's all you need to do to create a WAV player on your Core 2. Obviously, adding more songs will potentially slow down the UI because the rendering speed of the longer lists isn't so great. And you will also have to make sure that you have enough space on your SD card for all of your files. Yeah, other than that, things to note, my Core 2 is currently running version 2.3.6, the same as the UiFlow version I was running, and when you're converting your files to a WAV file, you need to make sure that you're putting the sample rate from 44,100 Hz down to 16,000 Hz. So basically dividing it by about 3, just to make sure that the Core 2 can play it at this speed. Because otherwise it will lag and it won't play the song properly. So yeah, that's all from me. Have a nice day, and have fun with your media players.
Won't you take me home and give me wings to fly? We can be alive.